Hey guys, this is a video on how to make your bump button or your creep button also function as a boost scramble button. I'm going to show you two different ways of doing it. One's a lot easier and more basic. The other is a little bit more advanced. Neither of these methods are going to require you to add any wiring in any way, shape, or form. So if you've already got your creep function figured out and working, if you've watched some of my other videos, it may have helped you there. As long as your bump button is configured as a 20 volt input, like it should be, bump, 20 volt, configure. You see it's a 20 volt input. This will work. So if we go ahead and open up the advanced ICF and we go to 1D tables, what we're going to do is we're going to create a table. I called this basic scramble. Your table type is going to be a boost offset, and your x-axis is going to be bump button. So what that means is here's your x-axis for voltage on the bump button, all right? And then the boost offset is here. How much boost, well, dome pressure in this situation, are we going to add? So once it sees over 9.3 volts, it is going to apply 10 psi of dome. And obviously you can manipulate this however you want, but understand that there's no point in rolling it in. There's no roll-in method here because the voltage seen by the ECU is pretty much instant. The parameters in which it's going to enable is when this table will activate when trans brake launch is disabled. So what that means is when you're on the trans brake, you don't want to press the bump button or a creep button and start applying more dome pressure. So this will disable this from working. Now, this is a simple press the button, it adds 10 pounds of dome pressure. I am not a fan of scramble buttons at all. I've been more of the type to just either put all the boost that the motor is going to take in it or tune the car to the racetrack. But so many people have asked me about how to do this, so I figured I guess it was time to make a video on it. The second way of doing this is a 2D table. So now this is what I call the advanced, oh look at I can't spell. This way is an advanced scramble. So what this does is gives you bump button voltage just like the last one, right? And then a boost number down here. So the last car I was at the racetrack with, we were running in somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 pounds of boost. If we turned the car down a little bit, this would bring us straight back up to our 50 psi of boost. So how this works is it's switched enabled again. This table will activate when trans brake launch is disabled, so that when you press the creep or bump button, it does not try to apply all of this. And this table will activate when bump button is above 10 volts and will deactivate at 0 volts. So that means that when this scenario, you'd have to press the button and hold. Uncheck this, and then you don't have to hold it anymore. But you won't be able to turn it off. So the way this works is right now if we're at 30 pounds of dome pressure, we're going to apply 20 more pounds, right, to get us up to 50. And then 32 pounds of dome pressure, we're going to apply 18 more pounds to get us up to 50. And then once we reach 50, we're not going to apply any more. So this table will apply a scramble function, but it'll allow the dome pressure A to roll in, and B, it will bring you to whatever you feel is desired, your peak amount of dome pressure. So this is a little bit more advanced. This is going to require a little bit better understanding of how your boost controller and your setup works and how it responds. But it will always either bring you back to your 0 point, or you can change your 0 point. I call it 50 pounds of dome, my 0 point. But this is our peak point. You can always change your peak point. You can change all of this stuff to suit your needs. So now I'm going to go into the car and show you the functions of it. So give me a sec here and I'll be right back. So now we're out here at the car, we're plugged into the car, and we're gonna see how this functions. So right now, if you look at the screen, you've got boost, bump button. So bump is the percentage output on our creep table, or our bump box table that we created in an output. And then you've got advanced boost scramble, and then you have a basic scramble. So if you notice, right now I'm going to grab the I'm going to press the bump button, which is now our scramble button. And you see you've got 10 psi in the boost offset for the basic way of doing it, and then 30 psi in the advanced way of doing it. Now, while I'm holding the bump button, I'm going to grab the trans brake. So what happened there was, you probably heard in the background the trans brake solenoid clicking away. That's because it went into a bump function, because I grabbed the trans brake. And it also removed the boost offsets that we had for our advanced tables that we created. So I'll do it again. Right now I'm going to grab the trans brake first, and now I'm going to press the bump button, which we wanted to use as scramble, but we press the bump button and it wants to bump, but it doesn't try to apply anything, okay? Now I let go of the trans brake. Trans brake is not enabled right now. Press the bump button, as if we were going down the racetrack, and we are applying 10 psi in the basic boost offset advanced table, and 30 psi in the 2D advanced table. So once we were to reach those boost thresholds that we had set up in our 2D table, it would start to taper down to our desired values. So my girlfriend's going to come over here, and I'm going to show you functions of the button. All right, so I'm wedged in the car, and here's the trans brake. So if we grab the trans brake and we look up here, here's the new 12.3 dash. The boost offset and the advanced table is up here. We press the bump button, it doesn't do anything. Okay, now we let off of the trans brake, right? We're not on the trans brake, we're going down the racetrack, press the scramble button, and here we are applying X amount of dome pressure in either or. So that's your two ways of doing it. Hope it taught you something. Please stop messaging me about this. I don't like doing boost scramble stuff. Put all the boost you can in the engine before you even leave the pits. Have a good one.